What's up, guys? Iceman here. Welcome to the Research Institution. So what we have here is DM, or Darth rather, microtransactions, and he's a real toad in the Diablo community, alright? He's been making Diablo Immortal videos, I think is how he kind of started with this whole thing. And then he went over to Diablo 4, but he tries other things, RPGs and all that other crap. ARPGs, how you say, let me know in the comments below. But now, it seems like he decided to try Diablo 1 and Diablo 2 for the first time. And of course, we all know Diablo 2 is probably the gold standard for Diablo games, or even ARPGs in general. Is that how you say? Is it ARPGs? Let me know in the comments. But nonetheless, and I think Project Diablo 2 is the gold standard, which is the modded version created by fans. It's not what we get in something like Diablo 4, for example, where it doesn't even seem like these people played the game. But nonetheless, let's take a look and listen, if you will, with what Mr. Darth here has to say.
So I just finished playing Diablo 1, Diablo 2, and the Diablo 2 expansion. Now, I had never played Diablo 1, the original Diablo. I had seen a little bit of it because I watched a bit of Iceman's video talking about it, but I had actually never seen a playthrough of it. Never played the game myself, so it was sort of a raw
Holy freaking toad, the cinematics.
Now, I had played Diablo 2 up to Diablo, got to Diablo 1 time before.
It's godly. Okay, he is Diablo 2.
Oh, shit, no! But I had never even played the expansion or seen a playthrough of that either. So I was blind to both Diablo 1 as well as Diablo 2's expansion. I wanted to talk about my experience while it's fresh in my mind because it was thoroughly enjoyable. And I also want to encourage you, if you haven't played either of these, I know Diablo 2 is considered like one of the GOATs, one of the most popular games. Most people have played it at this point, but I feel like some people might not have played the...
Yeah, look at how slow Diablo 1 is. That's the thing, is... You have to take a deep breath before you fire up Diablo 1. All right? We live in a day where there's just constantly everything all at once, in your face, all the time. You know, the spiritual journeys are over, basically, for those who accept it. But you have to enter this game like a child. You have to enter it blind to the world. You have to turn off your phone, set it to the side. Stay off of it for at least 10 minutes. Ponder, contemplate. And then you fire the game up. Because it's kind of slow moving. But it's very immersive. And world building, if you will. And the music, the atmosphere. Yeah, you go around and you like click on every damn enemy. But yeah, it's interesting how you tried it for the first time. Then Diablo 2 kind of took it to another step where it added a bunch of skills and spells. Diablo 1 did have spells, but they didn't have skills. They had spell books that you would learn, and they would all just take mana. And you had to find them. You didn't like just have them embedded in your character. You had to find the little books and learn them. And if you didn't have magic, you couldn't learn the damn spell book. So the more magic you had, the higher ranks, or the rank at all, you could learn. So yeah, it's quite simple. I think the best way to play Diablo 1 is the Beelzebub mod. It's amazing. It adds widescreen, adds the highlighting of items like what you see here on the right. With Diablo 2, you can highlight the items by holding Alt. The Beelzebub mod is amazing, and I do wonder if Darth would ever try that. Because I think that is the best way to play it. But Diablo 2... the best way to play it is the Project Diablo 2 mod. Both of these mods are made by fans. These are people who are actually serious about the game, who've played it out, who know it in and out. You know what I mean? But nonetheless, it is a good start to try just the OG. And there's something to be said in that. To try just the original. You know, what did people experience back in the day when they played Diablo 1? And as some of you guys know, I am a boomer. I've been playing Diablo 1 since 1998. I think is when it was, and wow, just looking over my friend's shoulder as a boy, and just seeing what was going on screen, seeing how he could communicate with other people online, and finding these items and putting them on his character through his inventory. I was like, I've never seen a game like this before. In those days, I think I was playing Zelda Ocarina of Time, and this like took it to the next level. This was like Ocarina of Time, but you have a more vast inventory, more vast itemization, and there's like the devil that you fight, and you go down into the dungeon, great music. Of course, Ocarina of Time had great music, but it added the whole world atmosphere, and you could play online with other folks and all that. But yeah, let's see what he has to say.
Original Diablo. If you haven't, the original Diablo might be my favorite of all 4 of them.
Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen.
Are you kidding me?
I know most people have Diablo 2 as the favorite, which is a very complete game. I can understand why it's a masterpiece. It's probably objectively the best designed one out of all 4 of them in terms of completeness. We'll talk about that too. But Diablo 1 for me, there was something like so wholesome and simple. I'm going to use the term simple about it, but everything about it was super fun. It's a complete package of an RPG for the late 90s. I believe this game came out in 97, and I remember growing up in the 90s with these types of games. I'm born in 91.
Nice and simple.
My dad play like Super Nintendo games, etc. It was nostalgic for me without ever having actually played the game. It reminded me of everything I liked about 90s games. It took me 8 hours to walk through the game and beat it, and at the end of it, it was done, the credits roll, and it was just like, that was a good, solid 8 hours. Man, what a 10 out of 10 banger, dude. That's actually a good one. I didn't expect
those cinematics, though.
With
the music,
gameplay, I knew what it
how
was
immersive
going
it was.
into it. I knew I was going to play it,
It's like,
consume it, enjoy it, and that's something that is
the dungeon.
Almost missing in some games these days, where sometimes you think the games are going to last you like multiple years.
It was true art.
Constantly add more content. Going into the game knowing I'm just going to consume the game for what it was, play through it one time, enjoy it. It was very simple and enjoyable. Pick a warrior, pick a rogue, pick a sorceress. There's not a million different skill trees and all that, so you have a very singular purpose, and that purpose is just to enjoy the game for what it is. Kill Diablo.
Warrior is probably the most difficult to play, and that's what he played.
Good work, my friend.
You have to walk around and click on every single monster, and you have to walk up to them and hit them, you know? It's not like the rogue, you got the bow.
So you interact with every part of the world.
The sorcerer, you're filling up the screen with spells.
It feels like a world. It doesn't feel like this game that I have to play for a year, that I have to, focus on min-maxing on my build. It's just a simple thing. You're a warrior, strength goes up, you try to get the best drop that you can during it, but there, you get the Griswold's Edge. Oh my God, I got the Griswold's Edge. Like,
that's
there's
a good
not
point.
Really this whole
Rainbow Cloak right there as well.
Butcher's having to craft and do all these things. Sometimes simplicity in and of itself is an enjoyable part of gaming. I'm just going to mention a few things I actually quite liked about it. Number one, simple graphics. Very simple design. The town's simple. The character design's simple. But it's objectively reasonable. You don't have these big, like, giant pauldrons like World of Warcraft. The character looks like somebody who's plucked right out of the Crusades. There's a bunch of little things they do that make you feel like the characters are actually real people. I mean, first of all, the voice acting is phenomenal. So you have people like the drunk who actually literally sounds like he's drunk.
The voices. I can see what you see not. Cast out into the layer of the blind. Something like that. I forgot the freaking poem. But yeah, there's poetry in this game. What else to say? Rest now, Leoric. I'll find your son. It's like a movie. They don't make them like this anymore. Do you guys remember a single line in Diablo 4? What's it say, Lazarus? Abandon your foolish quest. All of the way with the wrath of my master. You are too late to save the child. Now you will join him in hell. Yeah, I'm not kidding you guys. I mean, the dialogue, the voice acting, it was artistic. Where's the art gone? I can't remember a single goddamn line in Diablo 4. What's going on here? Wow. It's majestic.
I'm gonna pay for this, yeah!
Your character does this thing where when you walk into town, you take off your helmet and you carry it around with you. And the little simpleness of things like that in the game make you really kind of get sucked into the game. I don't know what it is about it, but between the pixelation, the music, the voice acting, the character design, the fact that the stats are super simple.
Wow, he grasped it here.
Skill trees. It makes you just focus on what the game's about.
He really did.
Just go level 1, go level 2, go level 3, get all the way down to level 16, kill Diablo. You have one very simple goal. Get to the bottom of the dungeon, which is level 16, and kill Diablo. And so you just focus on that goal. That's all there really is. You're not worrying about all this.
Yeah, I remember back in the day when I was playing this game, I was like, what would it be like to go outside of town in this game? Just the graphics, you know, the way that they sort of blended realism with fantasy in this game. I mean, they used real sprites. You know, these are real people walking around, and they used the sprite from that, just like what they did in Diablo 2. But then, of course, Diablo 3, they transitioned to all just 3D rendering shit. Like CGI and all that. It's no longer based on, like, a real moving figure. But in this game, a lot of these are, like, real moving figures. I wonder if any companies would go back to this. I hope that they do. Because in those days, I would imagine the future Diablo games being like that, where they do use images of real people. I mean, they have the green screens behind them, and they have the little things on them, and they do all sorts of movements, and that's how they capture it all. You know, that was art. That was before it was just all 3D bullshit. What if they... I know this is a stretch, but what if they decided to go back to the roots and make games the way they used to make them? What if one company did that? What if Blizzard did that? Why can't they remake Diablo 1? You know how much money they'd make? God damn! What if they were to remaster and remake Diablo 1 at the same time? Where it would be this world, where, yeah, you go down to level 16 or 17, I think is what it is, right? That's what Diablo is. You kill them, but then there's like an expansion. Like in the Beelzebub mod, apparently there's some unused content that they implemented in the game. Of course, there's a Hellfire expansion, which, I don't know, it kind of sucks. It wasn't even made by Blizzard. And back then, Blizzard was a good company. But this Beelzebub mod, it has outside of town, you can go outside in the woods and you fight in Dariel. And that's what I always dreamed of. I was like, wow, imagine a future Diablo game where you could go out in the woods and shit. Just it with this sort of look, only enhanced. And like out in the woods and shit, you know, that's what I envisioned. Wow, what a good game that would have been. But you know they're gonna butcher the hell out of all these characters. No pun intended. You guys see what they did with those characters in Diablo 2? Holy shit. Yeah, we get to have that modern day treatment and whatever the hell's next, don't we? You might want to cover up that rogue if you're going to be playing them. But anyway, all right, let's see what else he has to say.
Side stuff. You're not doing things to make your character stronger that feel like chores. It's just go through the dungeons. If you find something cool, wear it, keep going, blast through, and you're done. It's almost like an arcade game level of simplicity, but for the 90s, it's pretty mind-blowing for what they did in 97. Cinematics are something that Diablo does extremely well. I was surprised by cinematics in Diablo 2, for instance. Like, they are very peak. If for 2000 and 2001 for Diablo 2, I remember the games I was playing then was like RuneScape Classic, or just RuneScape as it was known then, but RuneScape Classic is how people would know it now. But it's mind-blowing to me that they were able to do the level of graphical intensity that they have in the cinematics for those day and age. You can really see why Blizzard built up such a fan
That shit looks so good back in the day.
Diablo 1 and Diablo 2. It's because for that time period, these games were really pushing
those Diablo 2 cinematics.
Diablo
you guys got to go watch them.
You have a skill tree, which is like completely new from Diablo 1, so they brought it to a whole nother level that's, since is now expected.
That was exciting. Then they added synergies.
But back then, that would have been a huge jump, and we're talking just a few years later. Adding the level of cinematics into Diablo 2 from increasing from Diablo 1 is actually mind-blowing. Imagine going from 97, where Diablo itself in the original game is actually like a big deal, but then you go to Diablo 2 and they take it to a whole nother level. Is actually crazy. The itemization increase from Diablo 1 to Diablo 2 is pretty insane as well. The voice acting only got better, and arguably the music in Diablo 2, well, the original Diablo's music is like banging, very, very good. I mean, surprisingly good. Diablo 2 maybe has the best soundtrack out of any game ever. I mean, it's like Halo OST main theme level of quality, but for every single song on the soundtrack, I kept thinking of like the Phantom Menace
That's a good
music, like John Williams.
Diablo 1 and 2.
It might be the best soundtrack I've ever heard in a video game, right next to like Super Metroid, the Halo main theme. I think Command & Conquer's up there, but I don't think Command & Conquer competes with Diablo 2. Like Diablo 2's soundtrack,
but yeah, Diablo 1 had some good.
But the crazy thing about Diablo 2 is they took that level of quality and they implemented it in basically every aspect of the game. It's simple compared to what we have nowadays. There's, we have much deeper skill stuff. I mean, look at what Last Epoch's doing with all the different skill trees and stuff gets really wacky. Look at Path of Exile, etc. But for the fact that it still allows people to this day and age to still be playing the game when this game was made in
isn't music like fake now? There's also this video on YouTube of some guy talking about how music is fake now. They use all sorts of like synthetic instruments and all that shit, and they just put it together and do like tonality convergences and shit like that.
You got to try this different build.
It's just fake. Because nobody actually making it.
Like they continue
with instruments.
Try this other build. The fact that I can play one of the many different classes in a game.
It's just all pre-recorded shit that they use from other sources. I don't know.
Even within that singular class,
that's what this guy was saying.
Telling me to try means that the depth of gameplay for a game of that era is actually astounding. Most of the games in that day and age that have replayability at that level aren't games that are like, RPGs like that. They're like RTSs. They're scenario-based or sandbox-based style of games where you have competition or something. These consumable campaign style of games where you go through the campaign, having replayability of that level in which people literally still do is amazing. One of the points I realized is that I had played through the normal campaign, but everyone was begging me to play through the Nightmare and then the Hell version of the campaign, which is what I'm actually continuing to do. But I thought about it for a moment. The fact that I can play the normal campaign and then the next thing I'm doing is literally replaying exactly what I just played, but I still am excited to do it, shows that the complexity and depth of the game is not.
Yep. That's a big thing that they did. Like with Diablo 4, how you level up with the enemies. They level up with you as you level. You don't get that power sense that you get in Diablo 2 or Diablo 1. You don't get that ascension factor. You know how amazing it was to go back to Act 1 and just obliterate everything? And it'd be like, yeah, I've ascended to an extent. You don't get that in Diablo 4 or Diablo 3. The enemies are all leveling up with you. That was part of the fun. Why don't these people get that? They're like, no, we don't want the little toddlers to walk into the wrong area with enemies who are a lot higher than them. Then the enemies will kill them, and then they'll just quit, and they won't play our game anymore. Is that the logic? Because that's not how it works. Forget about the toddlers. The toddlers will play something else. You don't got to make every fucking game for the toddlers. All right, make them something else. Make them Diablo Toddlerville or that card game. What's that card game that Blizzard has? Make them something else. Keep Diablo for the big boys. But yeah, in Diablo 2, it's true, you had 3 opportunities: normal, nightmare, hell. And each one you're like, whoa, there's new items added? You gotta be kidding me. An exceptional version of the item, and there are specific uniques to these items. They're not just the same damn items like what we get in Diablo 4. It's the same damn item, only the numbers are just a little higher. No. In Diablo 2, you had exceptional versions of items and their own unique version that was a completely new item. And then you had the elite ones in Hell. And you could find some of the Hell ones in Nightmare and some of the Nightmare ones in Normal, but that's just how it worked. And the enemies had new effects. They'd have auras and shit. More lightning enchantments. More bosses everywhere and all that. And then you could persevere through that. The enemies would be like level 40 or something in Act 1 normal. Your character would start to exceed them if you keep grinding. And you could all of a sudden be more powerful than them. And you'd feel more powerful. You'd feel like you ascended. And you can't do that in Diablo 4. What the hell? Because they made it that open world, enemies level with you sort of concept. And the only exciting drops are just the ones that you already have, but just with slightly larger numbers. That's not how you do it in a treasure hunting game, all right? These are treasure hunting games. It doesn't matter what you guys have to say about that. They are. There's 5 buttons on cooldowns. Ain't much skill involved. All right? The challenge isn't the challenge in and of itself, because there is no challenge. If you want challenge, go play Dark Souls or something. Go play a first-person shooter where there's like precision and timing and stuff. The challenge here isn't the challenge because there's no challenge. The challenge is the ascension. And the ascension isn't the build-up in your skill because there's no skill. The ascension is the finding more. That's why Diablo 2 was so damn good. There'd be shit you could find that was actually interesting. Wasn't just the same damn thing you already had with little numbers just a little bigger. That's no fun. That's why you gotta add rare items that are hard to find. You know, that not everybody's just given like a freaking trophy. That's why you gotta have rule boards, maybe. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think.
Not just within the consumable nature of the campaign. It's all the parts that are built around it as well. It's your character design. It's the atmosphere. It's more than just the story. Imagine if when you're playing D4 and you just finished that campaign, if what they did is just ran you through the campaign again. That would be insane to play the campaign 3 times in a row and still enjoy it. So the fact that you can do that in Diablo 2 and people are like excited about it is it's a crazy world that they were able to build.
Yeah, and that's how they did it. Is by what I just said.
It would be really hard for me to find any other game that has a linear
Let's go back to those days.
Events like Diablo 2 does, and at the same time be able to find that many hours of replayability. It's the exact counter thesis to the criticism that people have of certain games, which is it's a mile wide of a game but an inch deep. It's a criticism you can hear on many games that have massive worlds that are empty. Space games come to mind. Diablo 2 is the exact counter thesis to this. It is only kind of an inch wide. It's just a campaign, but it's a mile deep. The depth within that inch is actually crazy. And that's because it is a handcrafted world. Yes, it has procedurally generated, or whatever you want to say, randomly generated worlds, but the love that goes into each one of these textures and the design of it make all of them very memorable.
Look at how artistic it is.
The well thought out
and it's
design
thematic.
Of itemization,
that's another thing that it's missing now. It's not thematic anymore. It's just all the stuff all the time, always. You know what I mean? There's not themes and shit.
Is pretty good.
Desert theme, forest theme,
growing up. We were in a religious house.
Jungle theme, winter theme.
I didn't have access to these games, but looking back, I can see why Diablo 2 was considered like peak gaming. One of the things I noticed about Diablo 2 is as I'm playing the game, the peak enjoyability continues to ramp. Like there's no plateau of it. It just gets better and better and better and better and better. So you never really feel like quitting the game because as you're continuing to play the game,
exactly,
each hour is better than the previous.
It's because there's always stuff right around the corner that you could potentially find that's actually game changing. And that's not what we have in Diablo 4. What we have in Diablo 4 is things around the corner that might just make your numbers just a tiny bit bigger, and that's it. Diablo 2, you have, wow, I could find a jaw. And maybe a burr, and I can make an enigma, and all of a sudden my character can just teleport all over the damn place. Or I could find 2 burr runes. Eventually, someday. And my mercenary could have the conviction aura. Or I could find a bunch of jaws and all this other shit, and I could make a last wish rune order with might aura on it. You know what I mean? There's things that are rare that actually change the way you play it. And that's not in Diablo 4. Because they're too afraid to make the game for big boys. They're making it for toddlers who whine and complain and just want everything given to them. And once everything's given to them, they just quit. Then they have to release an expansion and make you buy it before Path of Exile 2 comes out. Which is probably going to be a great game. They're not afraid to have rare stuff in the game, you know what I mean? Pretty sure this is going to be a great game.
I'm going to be honest. I think we're going to continue and play through Hell and maybe play through Nightmare difficulty as well. Because the game's kind of fun. I don't think I'm done with D2 yet. The items that you're getting are getting cooler. The monsters are getting harder. You're starting to remember, oh yeah, this other boss is up ahead. So your knowledge is starting to gain, and it's making you feel stronger at the game because your knowledge is ramping too. So the depth of it is surprising for the simplicity of the world. I know I'm like the millionth person to play Diablo, or even, I mean, like 30 millionth, 50 millionth person to play Diablo 1 and 2, and I'm way late to the train, but I'm glad it's a train I finally hopped on. If you're somebody who hasn't played these originals, when I was streaming, there was one person that came in, he said he was 21 years old.
It's a spiritual journey.
You know, he hasn't played the game, is it any good? Basically. And the amount of people that instantly responded like, dude, I wish I was in your circumstance.
Yeah, I remember my dog Dane, who's like
not having that memory was
19
massive.
or something when he started playing it.
I wish I could
when he hit me up on Discord, we ran through some shit.
Having played it.
I was surprised. I was like, I didn't know young folk play this stuff.
You have the wish that they wish they could do. You have the ability to play it for the first time.
It's like, I thought it was just a bunch of boomers like me.
You don't need to pay $100 for the next early access game.
But yeah, you guys should go back.
Go back and play one of the
and play it, or play it if you haven't played it.
Or go to 2 games in the history.
Play it blind.
And I'm really glad I have recently.
Arise, Diablo. Godzilla.
But anyway, if you guys will like this video, subscribe to the page. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace be with you.